My name is Kadey Grogan, and I have lived here in Pisgah for a little over a year now. Their grandfather, he passed about a year ago. He was 97 when we admitted to hospice. He turned 98 on a Thursday, and that Saturday morning is when he passed at 98 years old. And so for him, he was fairly healthy his entire life, lived a long, wonderful life, but he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And we were seeking aggressive treatment for that cancer until it got to a point where the treatment was just taking him down physically, mentally. He was becoming weaker. He's always just sharp as a tack, and he had, become very forgetful and things like that. But he was living at home with my grandmother as his primary caregiver. And so when they made the decision to stop the aggressive treatment and focus more on quality versus quantity, that's when our hospice team was able to come in. And it was just really beautiful for them to have that support from the whole team, the nurses, the aides, the chaplain, social worker, and then also me as a family member. At this point, I had been in hospice for over 3 years, or about 3 years. And so I was able to just kind of be an extra support system to them and walk them through that, because she was the primary caregiver, but she, is can be taxing. And so with the knowledge that I have through working with hospice, I was able to communicate, everything to my grandmother, his primary caretaker, and help her understand the benefit of bringing him on to hospice and discontinuing treatment at that point. But there were a lot of doctor's appointments that had to happen with the oncologist, with his PCP, to come to that decision and to transition into hospice. And so it would have been very beneficial at that point, especially with all those appointments, and then also leading into his hospice journey. It would have been very beneficial to have something that could help with that line of communication and bridge that gap. There were a lot of times that they would have an appointment, and I wasn't able to make it because I was working, and I'd send her with a list of questions, make sure you ask him this, ask him that. And something like MyDocSaid would have been absolutely incredible for us to use, so that when we couldn't make those appointments with them, we could still, my mom, myself, my sister, we could still all have an understanding and be able to listen back to those appointments and understand exactly what the oncologist had explained to them, exactly where, what the PCP had in mind as far as, next steps, or where we were at with the cancer. Having worked in hospice and being a huge part of that journey through hospice with both of my grandfathers, two very important loved ones in my life, I feel like MyDocSaid could be a huge support system in helping bridge that gap between patients and families, and just helping it be a smoother transition and more clear communication for everyone to kind of be on the same page and understand where they're at in their health and wellness. Download MyDocSaid today.